seminar like this. I think the last one was September time, and a lot of you are very interested, and for good reason, because a lot of you I know from obviously the online squad. And it's annoying when you have your exercise in place and you think you're doing everything right, but things just don't seem to be happening. So hopefully I'm going to alleviate some of that pain tonight, and we'll see how we go. I could talk about this for hours, and I don't have hours, so this is going to be a really condensed version. But if there's more interest and if there's more questions, we can pick up and maybe do this more regularly. But anyway, what the heck gives me the authority to do this? I hear you say, but I have been in the fitness industry for coming on 12 years. And yes, I am qualified personal trainer and all that good stuff. I have certificates for miles and miles, but then the nutrition thing came quite late on in my journey. And what frustrated me the most was I could have exercised 7 days a week, morning, noon, and night, and never saw any change. So what was happening was I was overtraining, under eating. Then the weekend came and I would like a little treat or two. Then I would regret that treat. And I actually had no concept of how my body needed fueled for performance or for weight loss. So that overtraining to try and out-train the bad diet doesn't work. And I've been there and I've done it. That under eating also doesn't work. So that mentality of eat less, move more. Yeah, I have a problem with that statement because eat less now has us females, especially eating as few calories as possible, thinking that that's where the magic happens. In reality, it's not. So on the left here, that was me in that overtraining stage. And then what was happening also was, obviously I was under eating, overtraining, and then just getting into a rut at the weekend. I says, frig this is so much hard work for no return, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, literally, I think I was like 22 in that first photo, and then this photo here on the right was a few months ago, and I've completely changed how I train. CFIT squad is my number one. That is how we train on the weekly. Yes, I have a home gym downstairs. I do a little bit more training there, but it's my eating, and we will get into that. But I've kind of come through the hard bit, and I know where some of you are at. And I do not want you to wake up every Monday morning and say, frig this, here we go again. So I also want to let you know that I want to be an authority in the nutrition space, and that's why I'm going back to university to get some real hard, I think you actually get a few letters after your name if I qualify. So that's what I'm doing in the process. So you are in safe hands if you come and work with me. And I think the issue is with social media and online media is everybody now has their own way of doing things and they're trying to sell guides and stuff. But that's why I wanted to go back to university to actually be a true authoritarian in the space. So watch that space. Now, this is what I was talking about, and this is the really frustrating bit, especially for me. So what was happening to those photos of me before and after was nutrition was pulling one way, exercise was pulling the other. So if you are waking up every week, your exercise is on point, you're doing your classes, you're going running, you're doing your steps, and you're not eating enough, they're never going to meet. So there's no point, and I say this to all my PTs, there is no point you coming to me 7 days a week. I don't even care. You could, literally, you could come every day of the week and train really hard. But if your nutrition is off and you're going home and being a secret eater, you might as well not bother. You're just paying for a catch up, which is fine too, but you're not going to see any results if your nutrition is just off kilt. So we need to kind of get to kind of the bottom of how do we get your nutrition on point, and how do you stop falling back into the Weight Watchers way of thinking or the slimming words and all these things that have been embedded in our brains. And it's not our fault, it's media has done this, and social media now has a lot to answer for. But I'm here to simplify it, and fat loss does not have to be complicated, but it's because we follow so many accounts and we don't know what to do. I know I have a lot of people on the call that have done keto before, and the keto has a time and a place, or intermittent fasting. These things work for a short period of time, but this is the long-term game that we're playing. This is the long one. So hopefully it's going to help alleviate some of the pain, and you do not need to go after the next diet that's coming out on the market, because there's plenty of them. Anyway, not going to dwell too much on this. If there's anything you want to screenshot, feel free. But people always talk to me about their metabolism, and I have a slow one, fast one, whatever. Look, let's just simplify things here. These 4 boxes, These are really important, but there's only a few of them that you can change. Okay, so the first one is your BMR. Notice how it takes up the most percentage. This is your coma calories. This is if you just lay in bed all day long, this is what your body would burn. This is your metabolic rate. Moving on, there's nothing we can do about that. So let's just box it. Everybody's different, but that's what's going to happen there. Moving on, you will hear me continually talking about NEAT. NEAT is everything you do outside of exercise. This is your non-exercise part of the puzzle. So yes, as I say here, say hello to your new best friend. This is everything from fidgeting, me doing this, tapping my foot, filling up my water bottle, going for a walk, walking sky, parking the car away from the shop, anything you do to exist that is not exercise related. Okay? So those wee steps when you're running up and down with the washing, instead of getting the kids to do it, say, do you know what? I'll get my NEAT up and I'll do it. So that's the one thing. You'll notice that that's actually bigger than your exercise energy expenditure, which is the end one here. So you can actually do better with your NEAT than you can exercise. And what I say to my clients is when they come to me, if I was to prioritize 3 things, nutrition, steps, and exercise would be how I would do it. If you were looking at weight loss as a whole, nutrition is just the goal, okay? It always wins. That's the one you can have the most control over. Next is your steps, is your NEAT. Get moving. Steps are so underrated. Also, just for your mental health, let alone your physical health. And then number 3 is I would add in exercise to the mix. So when I have people join my nutrition plan, when you join the nutrition plan, you get to join CFIT online for free. But I don't add that to the plate yet. I say, do you know what? Let's just start with the nutrition. Once we get that right, we can add in a class or 2. It's not important at this stage. Obviously, exercise is massively important for other areas, but I'm just talking about simplifying fat loss. If you got your nutrition and you went for your daily walk and you got things moving in the right direction, we'd be on to a winner. The third box here is your thermic effect food. And this is where protein comes into the mix, and it's so important to have protein in your diet because it takes a lot of energy to break it down. Therefore, the more protein we have, the more energy your body's going to burn to break it down. So that's what we want to look at as well. I'm going to cover protein a little bit on this, and it doesn't mean just getting some protein shakes. Absolutely not. Okay. Simplifying fat loss one more time. We have 3 pillars that I believe are kind of the easiest way to approach this. And it's your habits, your environment, and your planning. Planning, I'm going to be a real stickler for because I've heard every excuse under the sun and I don't really want to hear it anymore, okay? So you could try me, but I know what you're all going to say. So number 1 is the habit piece. If you're a member of CFIT Online, you know I say it's a privilege every single day to do either, I'm relating it to exercise at the time, but it's a privilege to eat nice food, to go a walk, you know, to bake, to cook, whatever it is, but you need to turn the mindset on it and say, flip sake, I have to prep my food here, I have to cook, or I have to make a dinner. You don't actually have to, but you should want to. You know, at least we have the money and the resources to make these lovely meals. So I want you to kind of change the narrative on it that a Sunday night does not mean the dreaded, oh, here we go again. It should be happy days. Here's another Monday that I get to go walk the beach, walk the dog, do whatever it is. But you just need to change the mindset that it shouldn't be a struggle. And if it is, you're doing it the wrong way. So you need to fall in love with the process of this healthy lifestyle. And I'm working with a girl currently, and she did my 12 weeks and she realized that this is not a 12-week quick fix. And I'm not selling that plan. Like, she's working with me for another 12, and it's total mindset shift because she has been stuck in Weight Watchers all her life and she just needs to have a pound off every week. And if it doesn't go that way, she's like, right, well, screw this, I need another plan. But it's, and I'm going to show you further down the line, but it's a process of falling in love with it and realizing that it's not going to be tomorrow. Next up is your environment. Okay, I want you to be, I hate the word diet, but I want you to have a diet that fits into your lifestyle, not a lifestyle that fits into your diet. So if I asked Michelle to go for a scone on Saturday, she'd say, no, I'm on a diet, can't be going for a scone. Well, screw that, because then you're never going to do anything. There's always going to be something come up in your diary, and you have to be able to adapt and go and not be scared of social situations and events. Having said that, that's within reason. So your environment, so if you associate every Friday night with a Chinese takeaway, bottle of wine, whatever else it may be. Like every Friday, that's going to be, oh, it's time to ditch the diet and let's have, a big weekend. And then that happens Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday, sure, it's a Sunday dinner. And why not we go for a mods? That's all grand. But if that happens Friday to Sunday every week, you're only being good Monday to Friday. And that's what happens with most people. So we need to look at the environment and have things within reason, not take the piss every weekend. But absolutely enjoy yourself. Like we were away at the weekend there, we had wine, ice cream, fell into 2 days, and it's grand. And in the past, I would have been like, frig this, I'm eating nothing today, bar spinach, and I'm going to go for 10K run, blah, blah, blah. And I'm actually like, you know what? I haven't even trained today. We did class this morning and that's it. But I'm not stressed because I know that that was 2 days of my life. And you know what? Life's friggin' short, but it doesn't mean we do that every week. Okay, leave that one there. And then planning, stop being lazy. Stop telling me you do not have time to plan your food. You plan everything else in your life, and the last thing that kind of gets a look in is your food. So I don't need you to go downstairs and make your dinners for 7 nights in a row and your lunches and your breakfast. Why not just do 3? Or if you know you're in the office 3 days a week, sort out 3 meals. It's just this lack of planning, and I don't love tricking people, but I say, what's for dinner? And they're like, oh, I don't know. Right, well, where are we going to go from there? Because you're going to get home, you're going to be, if it was a bad day in the office, you're going to be pissed off. Somebody says, do you want to get Chinese? You say, yeah. Don't mind? Absolutely. Because you didn't plan, there was nothing sitting in the fridge. What's to hinder you throwing on an Irish spud and and a quick chicken fillet? Like, it doesn't have to be boring either. Like, that was a very boring meal I just pulled out of my head. But you know what I mean? It took me 5 seconds to throw on Paddy and I a curry. Yes, it was Mayflower curry. Sorry, mum. But like, it's just quick, fire it on, and then it's done because we both had busy days today. So if you take anything away from the call, it's your habits, it's your environment, and your planning. So we'll head on to the next slide. But this is the feedback I got from you all, either on social media or in the online CFIT group. Diet starts on Monday. It happens all the time. I guarantee you all woke up today and were like, right, new week, signed up to a seminar, gonna listen in, things are gonna change. But I want to look at like why do we keep having to diet? Like, why is this mindset that we need to start again every Monday, blah, blah, blah. Biggest things you can see here were the weekends and restrictive diets. Family issues, or it not being family friendly crept in, and I totally get that. And then the not seeing results. So they're all kind of linked. Okay, the family one, I just want to touch on that briefly because I'm really particular on that. Because I do not want you to be sitting down to a different meal to your kids and them saying, well, why is mum not having what we're having? And it just starts this kind of, especially if they're young, girls in particular, kind of look and be like, that's strange. It's only potatoes. Like, let's not demonize food as good or bad. And mum's having like a wee tiny meal and everybody else is eating something else. So I'm all about that one pot that goes on the table, but it's your portion control is the issue there. So instead of having the full bag of rice, you're just having the half bag, but so on. When you get into that in a wee second. So I just want to mute somebody. Thank you. Restrictive then, obviously that came into play because you were probably eating like a rabbit. And sure, where are you going to go with that? So we're going to cover it further down the line, but if you start pulling things out of your diet, you're going to stop. So if we add in things, that's where the longevity comes and it becomes so much easier to sustain. And then the weekends as well, forget it's Friday, let's just throw the kitchen sink at it. It's trying to realize that, yes, okay, you can have a Chinese on Friday night, but that does not mean you have to go out for breakfast on Saturday and then go for a late lunch into dinner and then it falls into Sunday and sure, there's Monday again. That's what happens with the weekends, it just spirals. And I love the analogy of if you had a flat tire, you don't go around just slash the other 3 because sure, what's the point? Cars fucked anyway. It's not. It's only one tire. It's only one day. So next up, some of the reasons. If she wants to move, that'd be great. It'll be paused. There we go. Some of the reasons your dieting is too hard. And this is from my research from talking to a lot of you. Like I do see a lot of you in the week and I love the honesty of it, but you can see them all here. So you don't see results quick enough. Fair enough. We all want to see them. Like that's what we want, that really reactive feedback. You don't get it for at least 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And by that stage, you've moved on to another diet. So that's a big issue. Number two, the dieting is too hard because you're simply not eating enough. You cannot live off thin air. So I'm not even going to dwell on that, but when I look at some of your diet plans, when you send them to me initially, if we're starting to work together, somebody last week decides they don't really eat until 2 o'clock. And then, yeah, they'll have dinner with the family, and then at night time is danger zone. Well, no wonder it's danger zone because you haven't eaten all day. But that's where that like binge eating comes into the cycle as well. So if we front loaded the day with some good breakfast, maybe a snack, maybe some lunch, we would stop that happening. Number three, we've talked about it already. That bucket is Friday. I'll deal with it on Monday. That's not okay. And we'll put systems in place that we can kind of refine that. Number four links into that as well. I was bad today. Sure, we'll just leave it now. What's the point? Well, when you actually look at it, if you're having 21 meals across the week, first, say 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, that's 21 meals. And you have one bad meal in that, say a Friday night, that's just one meal out of a full week. But instead, you're going to just write the whole thing off and say, sugar, nah, I'll just leave it, start again. And it's just that mindset of it. Get up and get on you, you're grand. I sound like Kathy. I do, Mum, what have you done to me? But literally, like, let's just pick up the pieces. You don't need to just let the whole thing fall apart. Number five, poor sleep by choice. I did put that in brackets because Bruna, she's definitely not on this call. That's by choice. I do not have kids. It's a luxury for me to just go to bed. But it's that sitting up, scrolling at night, and then, oh, I'm a wee bit hungry. What happens then? You go to the fridge. Just go to bed. Okay? Because when you wake up and you haven't had a good night's sleep, you know that hunger starts to creep in and you're like a grizzly bear. So if we can alleviate that, get at least 8 hours sleep, we will be on to a winner. And that falls into one of your habits that I would like you to work on. Lastly, you have probably excluded a food group, usually fats or carbs, because people think fat makes you fat. Indeed, it does not. Too much fat makes you fat, and too many carbs makes you fat. But when people say to me, oh, I'm not eating any carbs, well, I like to go, you're not eating any carrots then? Carbs get really bad rep. And I'll not throw Dad under the bus, but he says, oh, he's going on a diet today, and he says, I'm cutting out bread. And I said to him, right, are you? He says, why? Oh, but just, and it's this mentality that bread is so bad. And I was like, Dad, it's not the bread is the issue. It's the 4 slices of bread that we're having every sit down and then a wee bun. It's that kind of thing. So when people say to me they're cutting out carbs, I like to say, well, that would be your vegetables gone as well. So let's not be so rash about the whole thing. And you need your protein, fat, and carbs all in there. So I love to include bread in my diet. It's only the past few years that I have, and I have a few slides to show you on that. Bread is not the issue, nor is the fat. But like watching Jamie Oliver, when they say it's a tablespoon of oil and you're cooking and they drizzle on the oil in, that's where I have the issue, because olive oil is a hidden calorie killer. But a little tablespoon is fine, but it's all in that portion control that we need to be aware of. Just briefly, I do not need to hone in on the binge eating cycle, because if we've been through it, you know what happens, and it's not a nice feeling. So, you've started off by starving that day. Maybe you've lasted 2 or 3 days, I'm not sure. And then it just gets into your head that you just need to eat something, and if you eat it, it'll be grand. You just need a wee lick of it, and then boom, nobody's there to watch you. It just kind of happens. Then what happens next? You're at stage 4, you feel out of control, you're shame, you hate it. Why did I do that? Oh my God. And then you diet or you jump on some form of exercise to regain control of that situation. But it's one of the oldest sayings in the book, you cannot out-train a bad diet. It's just that simple. So I'm not going to hone in on that. We all know what it feels like. It's not nice, but it's what I'll say in the next slide or two. A treat a day keeps the binge away. And you're probably thinking, well, Catherine, I need to cut out chocolate. And I'm saying, right, well, hold on a wee second and we'll talk about that. So you can read that for yourself. An average toddler eats 1,200 calories. You're not a toddler and you are probably not eating 1,200 calories. So when I get people come to me and say, oh, I'm eating such and such, I'm eating 1,200, blah, blah, blah. When you have a Chinese or chippy, whatever, on average, that's about 900 calories. So if you are kidding yourself and trying to eat this really low calorie diet, let's just have a wee look at the weekend or what's happening there, because that's what's pushing you over your calorie allowance, let's just say, and you probably don't want to be that truthful about it. But let's just leave it there. That 1200 calorie whatever, like, diet culture needs to go, and that is not where we want to be to lose weight. And this call is based on losing weight, not, I know few people are in the, I would like to say, the nicer realm of trying to put on weight, but I actually don't believe that that is a nice place to be either. So, but for the purpose of this call, 1200 calories, no chance. Thank you very much. Let's leave that at the door. Now, I know I've been talking about calories a lot. You don't have to count calories. You do not have to do MyFitnessPal, but calories always count. So that's where this understanding of portion control comes into play. And a great example for me was when I was in my strong era of my big deadlifts and my big squats. I was not walking very much in that time. I was working in black box. I was sitting at a desk all day long. Then was going to do about an hour and a half in the gym, but it was very much deadlift, chill, deadlift, chill. Then I was coming home and I was living in Belfast by myself, and I was just having a full bag of Uncle Ben's rice. And I thought, well, I've just done an amazing big strength session and I deserve this. But I did not have any concept of how many calories was in a full bag of rice, let alone the curry that I was having with it. And also my NEAT just did not exist in my environment at that time. So it was only when I started to realize the portion sizes in my oats or my rice did I actually understand what was happening and kind of get control over my nutrition. So you do not have to track your calories, but what gets tracked gets managed. And when you have an idea of how much is in such and such foods, then things start to happen. But if you're free pouring your olive oil or your coconut oil, or you're just eating away at your dark chocolate and your peanut butter, that's where the issues lie. And that wee scoop of Biscoff did count. I know nobody saw it, but it did actually count. I hate to tell you. Okay. Right. Now, I'm not here for a hard sell. I'm not, but I just want to talk about my experience with people and how we've changed things. So when people work with me, the 4 things I prioritize with them is that number 1 should say a small calorie deficit. It is nothing crazy. It's about 100 to 200 calories, which is the difference of a tablespoon of mayo or 15 grams of peanut butter. Like, it's really minimal. Okay, so you do not have to go drastic on this. The more drastic you go, the harder it is to sustain. So I'd rather you in a calorie deficit of 100 to 200 calories, seven days a week, rather than in a calorie deficit of 500 calories 2 days a week and the rest not. I am also aware I've not talked about how you find out your calories, but I'm going to send a link into the group or into the messages after. It would take me too long to explain it on the call. There are calorie calculators out there. Please do not use MyFitnessPal because it will put you on 1200 calories. But there's calculators out there where you basically put in your age, height, weight, steps, and general like kind of activity, and it will give you calories. I will preface with that it should not be anything lower than 1500. Quite frankly, you need to be eating more than that. And that's where people have the fear. But anyway, if you're really struggling, message me and I will help you 100%. Number 2, a treat a day keeps the binge away. If I told you, if your favorite treat was a dairy milk, if I told you you cannot have a dairy milk for the next 12 weeks, I guarantee you by day 9, you'd really want one. Day 9 is probably actually very generous of me, but like you would be craving it. As soon as somebody tells you you can't have it, you want it. So I say a treat a day keeps the binge away, and they're quite happy out. I know there's one person in particular, I guarantee you every single plan that they send me, they're going to have a Ripple bar 4 nights out of 7, and there'll be a glass of wine in there too. Because if that's important to you, then I want you to have it, because it will keep this process going and it becomes easy. Okay, all sounds very woo-woo, but it really works, I promise. Number 3 is planning. Every single one of these girls sends me their food plan the night before. And that's where the planning issue comes into play, because you're like, well, I don't know what I'm having for dinner. And I say back to you, well, I know, because you haven't thought about it. I'm going to leave that point there, but you really should pre-plan your meals. And it really helps with even the food cost So if you're ordering in from Tesco's and you're just buying anything, well, try and plan your meals around that. Like, what are your 3 breakfasts that you know that you really like and you're going to have? Well, mine are probably going to be a protein yogurt and Weetabix. Love it. Great combo. Wheat cheesecake. Great. So I have that 3 days a week. Just put it in the fridge and then it's done. Anyway, fourth point is their protein. Most of the girls that come to me, their protein does not exist. They have no concept of protein, and that's 100%. That's why I'm here. But I recommend 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. If you look at it online, they say much lower, but I think for general, 2 grams is perfect. So you just work that out based on your body weight. And what I said before is what gets measured gets managed. So yes, you may have a fear of the scales, but also it's a great place to start and kind of get an understanding of where we need to be. So it's also very hard to work out your protein if you don't know what weight you are, but we'll leave that there. Anyway, protein. I just thought this would be really helpful because I feel like people say, oh, protein, protein. You're like, well, what the hell? Where did I get this from? And you'll notice there's only, well, there's just, yeah, you'll see bottom right, there's a protein powder, but I like, Kathy isn't going to be scooping away at the protein, is she? Like, that's not realistic. That's just not what she's going to enjoy. So we want to get our protein from whole foods, and then we look down the route of supplements if you need it. So we've got here, obviously, all your meats, 100%. There's some tofu if you're not into the meat. We've got some chickpeas going on. We've got some eggs. Bear in mind, eggs are an okay source of protein. They're not the best, but do include them in your diet. They don't give you the greatest bang for your buck. What else have we got? Turkey breast. Somebody's not on mute. Why is that happening? What else? Prawns, and we've got loads of stuff there. So feel free to screenshot that page if you wish. My only preface to that would be, or asterisk would be, I have a marketing degree, so I am fully aware of marketing and how strong it can be, but a lot of products on the market are actually not that high in protein. So if you do have a wee look, who's not on yet? Come on. Do have a wee look at the back of the packet before you purchase, because some of them will say high in protein, and if you look, there's only about 5 grams in the back, so I wouldn't recommend. However, I have been testing out, see these M&S high protein chocolate crunch and high protein peanut nut granola, they're actually really, really good in protein. So I think for 1 serving is around 12 grams of protein. A lot of like the protein stuff on the market may have only like 4 or 5 grams, so just be aware of that. And M&S also, like, tut CFIT, I probably wouldn't have included those pancakes on second reflection because there's not a massive amount of protein in them. I think there's around 5 grams, but I mean, if you're really in the market for a pancake and you want to be trying to be good, you can go for that. But I know they do have wraps out on the market, and they like have no protein in them, but they do have on the front that they're high in protein. So just be careful, because you do pay an extra price for protein products. If you are stuck though, quick meals are great. You get them in Kearney's or Spar as well. Your Go Pig meals, if you're caught short, but I would still rather you were putting down fresh meal and having it with the fam. But that's for another story. So back to the girls. These progress graphs are over 12 weeks. The one on the right, top right in particular, really makes me and my client laugh. She weighs in every day, and it's just to show the difference of what the scales tells you. So we have those photos, we take measurements, and then the scales. But if you weighed in once a week and you saw those numbers go up and down like a yo-yo, you would actually think, nah, I'm out, I can't do this anymore. But the scales are so unreliable because of what happens. Just even say the day before, if you had like salty foods or alcohol, for example, or per night's sleep, load of things can change, and that's what happens, those numbers. From the weekend past, on Friday, I weighed myself, and then today I weighed myself, and I'm a lot heavier than I was. But that did not happen over 2 days. Like, I know that that's okay, but it's just kind of taking the emotional thing out of the scales and realizing that that graph is going down continually, but it's over a period of time. But if she just stopped and gave up because the scales went up, well, you're going to get nowhere. So you might as well move on. Other graphs here, they're just, well, bottom right is actually a lovely graph. I do like that one. And then some of them just take a little bit longer to move. You might go across the way for a long time, and then you might dip, and then you might go up. But it's just, you have to fall in love with the process, or else you would just give up completely. So everybody is on their own different journey. So you just have to stick at it, but just realizing that it's never going to happen overnight. And that can be the hard bit sometimes. So quickly, just look in here. See, hard to beat. Sorry. If I set you a budget of £1,000 a day and you didn't spend it all because you knew you were going out at the weekend, I'd be totally okay with that. So you spent £800 every day, and then Friday and Saturday you spent a little bit more. I would like you to look at your diet across the full week, and it's that, well, I had a bad day on Tuesday, so I might as well just leave it. And it's realizing that you haven't messed it up because you're looking at it at the weekly view. So if somebody wants you to go out for a scone and a coffee, go. But just make sure that you have a good meal planned for when you come home or in the evening time. Do you know? It's not the end of the world if you go out and socialize, because we want a diet that fits into your lifestyle, not the other way around. The way not to do it, though, is this. And this is what I've talked about, is that the wheels fall off at the weekend. So what's happened is you've under-ate all week. Of course, you've restricted yourself because on Sunday you had a bad day, and then Monday you want to be good. And then it comes around Friday and somebody asks you to go out and you say, absolutely, screw this, can't be bothered. We'll deal with it on Monday. And there you go. So you were good Monday to Thursday. Life's hard enough without trying to restrict yourself as well. But anyway, you were good Monday to Thursday, and then the wheels fell off. So on that weekly view, it was a waste of time. So if we can be more like this and less like that, we would be on to a winner. And there's very little change there. Okay, so this graph here showing 1,800 calories, and then you just ate over a little bit more at the weekends. And this one here showing you eating 1,700. But then you just blow it at the weekend. So think of it as a financial budget. Right, this also is a great way, and I'm going to fly through this, but look at it and say you have a holiday in 3 months, or you're working with me for 3 months. So it's broken down into 1 month stages, and then 4 weeks, the days of the week, and then your meals at the very bottom. So on one of those days, you have a birthday dinner. Grand. Look how little that affects the whole plan. And even at that, if you have a holiday booked, and I have so many people say to me, oh, I better not start the plan because I'm going on holiday. I'm like, right, okay, so you're going on holiday this month. What are you doing next month? I'm going to Dublin yeah, I suppose I do have stuff coming up. So it's like looking at it again. So you had a date night, grand. You had a holiday in the middle of it. That was a full week, grand. Then you were out for a night, and then you were a wee bit hungover the next day. Tough day at work, came home for something. You needed something that was just emotionally tough, and then you had another day out. If you look at that in the whole grand scheme, you're being very good across 3 months, and there are only a few days that you've really enjoyed yourself. You've made amazing memories. The plan is still the plan. This is when it goes ski whiff. This is when you can't bring it back, when you've had a bad week and you say, frig it, you've had a bad day and it rolls into the weekend. There's a lot more green on that screen than this. So it's trying to make sure that, okay, the wheels have fallen off, but I know I can get back on track. But it's when it gets just by the point where a month has passed or 3 weeks have passed and you still haven't got your nutrition on point, we got a problem. Okay? So that's where you have to remove that restrictiveness, because if you tell yourself, right, that's it, I'm not eating anything, you're going to fall back into the green very, very soon. And if you look at that, I've got my colours mixed around. It really should be the other way around. Green being good, red being bold. But anyway, you'll forgive me. Right. Hopefully that all makes sense so far, and you really can see that I am against the restrictive diet. I want to look here quickly, because when I say I only want you to reduce your calories, if that's the route you're going down, and I know I'm very calorie focused at the minute, but even if it was just removing a certain amount of food for a wee bit, if you didn't want to count calories, or, I will just have the toast without full fat butter, for example. That was a really bad example, but you know what I mean. But I'm going to continue down my calorie route here. Easy food swaps that you will not even notice in your day. Olive oil to 1 cal spray. I don't like wasting my calories on olive oil. Olive oil is very important. The female body needs fat, but for me to lather my food in olive oil or in the pan, I'm not really a fan. I'd rather get my fry light out and have some chocolate later on. Biscuits, easy swap. Digestives to the thins. You have your turkey rashers against your proper bacon. That's okay. Some people just can't fathom the turkey. It's up to you. If you really value your breakfast bap, keep it in, just swap something else out. Then you have your sausages, also a quick change. Biggest one for me is your beef mince. I think dropping from 20% fat to 5%, you really can't notice it. You normally drain all that off anyway. So that's a pretty easy win. The one I struggle with the most is the thighs to the fillet. Now, I absolutely love chicken thighs. Paddy hates them, so that's been an easy enough win for me because he just knows when it's chicken thighs. But there's a pretty big difference in that as well. Yogurts, I think you need to take your time in the yogurt aisle. There's friggin' that many now that you can purchase, but some of them are really calorific. They're made with whole milk, which whole milk as a whole is grand. It's not a bad thing, but they're also laden with sugar. So just have a quick wee read in the back of the label if you're there. Diet Coke versus Coke, big argument in our house apparently, which tastes nicer. Luckily, I don't like either, so we're okay there. But if you could make that swap, look at how many calories you're saving, and that could be the difference of you losing £1 a week or not from a tin of Coke. Kit Kat swap, Kingsmill. I work with a lot of girls and they say, oh, I'm having burgers tonight with the family, but I'm having lettuce leaves. And I'm like, no, why? Why are you doing that? Because bread is not the problem. Like, genuinely, it's not. But you're sitting there with a lettuce leaf wrapped around your bap or your burger. Like, come on. You might as well have it and enjoy yourself. And it's all in your mindset as well. Because, okay, even if you had the Kingsmill's 100%, I'd probably still opt for the Kingsmill, but there's 157 calories. Like that's well spent rather than the olive oil if you've looked at it that way. Mayonnaise, not even going to get into the argument. Apparently it doesn't taste the same. I can't taste any different. But anyway, that's a fantastic swap if you can do it. And then the dairy milk, I think this one is just like a no-brainer. So Big Bar dairy milk, or like the OG, 240 calories versus a wee mini one. 96, sure, you'd be laughing, and all you need is just take that age off. So that's only a few of them. I could have kept going, but if you could implement those, you'd be winning. Okay, conscious of time, but I just want you to also see that the food does not need to be boring. I'm just going to try and sign off. That these meals, like you could put these down to dinner and a dinner party. Maybe Michelle, I would need your like finessing presentation, but do you know what I mean? Like they're good, wholesome meals, and you're not starving from them. So my absolute go-to is the noodle dish. These noodles out of M&S, £1 for a pack of 4, superb. And within that, you've got your sesame oil, which I did actually cook with there, a teaspoon though, carrots, soy sauce, peas, all the frozen veg. I am frozen veg through and through, super cheap, always in the freezer, and it bulks out any meal. Then on here, we've got some halloumi and chicken, green beans underneath. Next one, we've salmon and noodles. Sure, what's not to love? And clearly took 0.2 seconds to make. And then you'll see here, these are my lunches. And never before did I think I would be a bread person, but here we are. And you can see Sky eyeing up that dish in the middle. But the Greek flatbreads that you get in Asda or Sainsbury's, I believe, 204 calories. If I didn't have it in that meal, I think I'd be starving. So that's like the main meaty part of that meal. It's not the meat, but you know what I mean. If I took that away, I would be ravenous come 3:30. So I like to have a carb as the base there as well. Get your chicken loaded on, and then greens are free. Do not be tracking those because your nice going to fall out if you're tracking broccoli. I've said that before. There's no need. Pile plate high. Next up, you've got your pita breads and chicken, and there's chorizo in that one, super. And then the last one here, in the past, I would have just had a tuna salad, but I had that now with sourdough and a wee bit of butter, and it was delicious. And it's 400 calories, and that kept me going. So stop cutting out the bread. The bread's not the issue. It's the snacking after because you didn't have the bread. And the great one, I went to Brona's the other day for a coffee, and she says, oh, there's skinny bars there. And I says, no. Why not? They're lovely. I says, no, because a skinny bar wouldn't fill a hole in my tooth. So there's 100 calories gone in a skinny bar, and by the time I'd finished my coffee, I would need something else. So you're actually better if you're if you've a craving for a dairy milk, for example, have the dairy milk. Because by the time you go back for another skinny bar, there's 200 calories, and sure, you might as well just have the dairy milk in the first place. So those little bars I do have an issue with because they're tiny and they're just like cardboard. and you're never full afterwards. And so you'd be better just going for what you want first and then be done with it. Right. Another few snacks here. You'll see wine. That's a snack in my house. But that was a Friday evening where Patty was having a beer and nuts, and I was like, well, yeah, okay, well, I want to have something. So we had a glass of wine and some flatbread, delicious. And it means that you're not sitting, with a cup of tea on a Friday evening. If you are that socialite that you do want something, account for it and it's still fine. Like, I want you to have it. Other snacks here, we've got some Greek yogurt going. Cocoa Pops, grand. Wouldn't recommend cereal for breakfast, however, but we'll get into that. And then just, the regular stuff. But you'll see here nothing is off limits and nothing looks that boring. Or, well, maybe it does, but not to me. It was pretty tasty. And then lunch ideas. Now, I will be emailing this out to you, so you don't need to like panic here, but I want you to start with a carb. It should be protein first, but you'll forgive me, but there's those Greek style flatbreads that I was raving about. There's decent protein in those. There's the egg noodles I was talking about, sourdough and pita. And then you combine it with a beautiful protein, chicken, those heck stuff for vegan, I think, vegetarian, something like that. And then you've got your tuna, your tofu, if you're that way inclined. Then you've got color, pile it high, whatever it is. And then a wee bit of fat on the side. You've got your butter, your cheese, or your lighter than light mayo. And that makes a delicious lunch instead of being like, oh my God, all I can have is this crispy side salad. No, absolutely not. And I've spent far too many years eating just that. Dinner ideas. These are based around family meals that I would like. Patty is my fan. Me and Sky and Patty have this. But these are, if you have the kids. So FITE is fantastic meals. So simple. You can do it with beef or chicken, whatever you want. Throw it in a wrap. My main thing here is to get the color on the plate. So yes, you may only just have FITE, but I would have a side salad with it or like broccoli, whatever goes in my house. It's just I need to have extra veggies with it. Then you've got my go-to, that noodles, chicken, mixed veg and Philadelphia. That takes 2 seconds, and I mean that. You just throw that all in the pan. Next up, have a chicken burger night or beef burgers, whatever it is. You've got your bap, your salad, your cheese. Any topping is fine. Like just go for it, but I do not want you sitting having less. And then lastly, curry. Go to easy, bag of rice, half a bag, no need for the full bag unless we're running a marathon. You've got your chicken fillets, all your veggies, throw them in, and then your curry sauce. So there's meals that, there's 4 nights of the week covered. Easy, pretty easy, and they all take minutes to make. Few snack ideas, again, I'm not going to run through them all, but the beauty of this plan, or when I work with people, I'm saying nothing is off limits, and they say to me, well, can I have a food plan? I'm like, no, you can't have a food plan because I don't know what you like, and what if I'm telling you to eat salmon and you say, well, Catherine, I don't like fish, well, I'm like, right, well, there's no one size fits all. I couldn't just say, here's your food plan, and then you say, well, I'm on a hen party at the weekend, what am I supposed to eat? And I'm saying, well, it's not, I don't have it down, it's not on your Saturday plan, so you might as well not go. But it doesn't work like that. So that's why I refuse to give meal plans. I'll tell you, I'll give you the recipes, and I'll give you food and whatever you want to eat, but it just has to fit within your calorie target. Just quickly, I'm not going to hone in on this, but you'll see down at the bottom, weekly calories are the overall arching theme here. And then it works down into daily calories. Your protein is super important. If we hit that, we're doing good. And then your fats and carbs, I'm a little bit more lenient on those. They still need to exist. But if people say that they've hit their calorie target, but not their protein, I say let it go. I would rather you stay within your budget of calories than eat more just to hit your protein goal. This slide probably didn't need to be in here. I was probably jumping ahead, but I just wanted to put it in because someone did ask the question about what do they do when they don't have enough protein in their diet for that day. I would look at your protein across the week as well, but that can maybe come in a part 2. Okay, nice and quick here. To make this sustainable, I want you to eat like an adult. Quite simple. We don't need to have all that processed shite in our diets. Think color, think full, think rainbow, and just eat like an adult. We don't need to be going for cereal for our breakfast or a cereal bar on the go, or stuff like that's just not okay in my eyes. I'd rather you eat whole foods, and that's why I say about the protein scoop. I'd rather it came from full foods first, and then we deal with supplementing things. So the more color, the better. Get the frozen veg, get it, just pile the plates high with color, and frozen is grand. And then hydration, we haven't really talked much on it, but you drink your water, sis. Everybody take a drink now. But most of the time you're just thirsty, and people hate to say, oh yeah, you're probably right. And then restriction is short term. If you like that food, please keep it in, because that's the only way you're going to manage to last so long on a diet. And I use that word very light. Little graph at the bottom, you can read that in your own time. That's just what I would suggest serving size if you're not tracking, if you're not weighing your food out. And then quickly on this side here, so breakfast wise, I do have an issue with cereal bars, protein, or toast on its own. Like if you're having toast, I'd rather you had eggs and bacon with it, so you make a proper meal rather than 2 bits of toast and that's only covering a carb. So I'd rather you think about your protein source, whether it be your turkey sausages, turkey rashers, eggs, and then a little bit of fat with the butter and so on. So make a proper meal of it. I had a client and she said, oh, I really like my breakfast, but it's about 500 calories. I said, yeah, what's the problem? Well, I thought it was a lot of calories. And I says, I know, but then come 11 o'clock, you're looking for 11s, as Bruno calls it, or Paddy calls it. But if you had that big meal at the start of the morning with high in protein, so it was like a protein yogurt and granola and berries, great. It saves you until lunchtime. You don't need to be filling yourself with something else or a wee nibble in the canteen or wherever you are. So yeah, just weigh it up that way. I don't need to read it all for you. It's all there. The out and about bit, do not go hungry when you're shopping, have something in your handbag, whether it be a protein bar at that stage, it's grand, but do not come home grizzly bear, starving, ready to raid the cupboards, because you know what's going to happen there. And then tips, yeah, my biggest tip, eat with the family, eat what they are having. There's nothing wrong with the shepherd's pie. God, it's minced spuds and gravy. Like there's nothing wrong with that. We've just been like, oh no, Weight Watchers says no, we can't really have that. You need to have like I can't even remember, like not real food. It's not Weight Watchers' fault, but you know what I mean. Like just eat with the family and make good home cooked meals. Paella is a great option. Steak, baby potatoes are fantastic. I spent years not eating potatoes because I thought they were bad. We learn, we live and learn. Anyway, we're wrapping things up here. I'm very sorry I've kept you. Key takeaway points. If you know anything, or if you want to learn anything from this, quick fire around here. Know your numbers. Weight loss, whether you like it or not, it's a numbers game. So if you haven't weighed yourself in about a year and a half and you have no idea where your starting point is, I highly recommend we step on those scales. You need to take the emotion out of it. It's just a data point. It's just to get you going. And it is what it is. Like, do you know what? That whatever that number says, it doesn't say anything about you, but it's just a starting point where we kickstart this plan into place. Treat it like a financial budget, please, and thank you. Try not to hit that fuck it button come Friday. That's what's going wrong with people, because it's this all or nothing. They associate the weekends with indulgence or food and family, and it can still be like that. But just have a glass of wine instead of the full bottle. If that's doable, I'm not sure. Maybe you just need a straw and a bottle. I don't know. But you don't need to just go for it all. Anyway, no more low fat, low carb diets. That's not a thing. Please stop doing that. If you go on a low carb diet, you will lose weight quickly on the scales, but it's only water weight. And as soon as you eat a carb again, it's going to go back on. So it's not a true reflection of weight loss. Small calorie deficit, that's going to be the winner overall. Small always wins. Okay. No unrealistic exercise goals. Don't say I need to exercise 5 days a week or 6 days. No, you don't. 3, 4 solid sessions a week. You'll be onto a winner with your food on track and your steps. Eat the rainbow, ready, set it, track the night before. I'm just going to say it. Let's ditch the diet. If anybody is interested in that, I know I've kind of rattled it off, but I know the kids need to get to bed. There's a lot in that. As I said, it was a quick fire round, but when we work together, or if we work together, yes, it's a 12-week plan, but it's me embedding good habits into your life, not me telling you what to eat and what not to eat. But I also help you understand calories. I'll also help you understand why you need fat, why you need carbs, why you need protein, or how to pair foods together that makes you sociable, makes this really long-lasting and sustainable. But I never dictate to you what you can and cannot have, because as soon as somebody tells me I can't have something, it's game over for me. So I'm going to leave it there. That was a whistle stop. I could have gone on for ages, but I'm not going to. So if you want to screenshot that, feel free. I don't think there will be any questions because you're all shy little people, but I love you all dearly. But we'll leave it. Yeah, that's it. Right, what I'm going to do is close this off, and then we will email this out to you tomorrow and have a good flick through. If you are interested in the plan, I will be totally honest, I take on an extremely limited amount of people. The thing is with this plan, I talk to you every single day and every single night. Whether you like it or not, I become your best friend. So the reason I only take on a few clients is so I can give you 100%. So if you are interested, let's get chatting sooner rather than later. And it's a good time. It is a good time. It was only when I started doing this that I actually like start to see changes in my body. And I wish I could unmute some of my clients because I know you're on the call, but we talk about it all the time, and you can just see the excitement in their faces when the penny has dropped with how this works. And it's not complicated. And I know you're probably wanting to come on to the call today and me make it out that there was a massive formula to it, but it's really not. It's forming those good habits, and it's falling in love with the process, and stop going on these restrictive, silly things that, yes, you may look good for a weekend, but what happens that day after? You just go back to the old habits. So anyway, it's nearly bedtime. It is definitely my bedtime. So I will see you all later. Thank you very much for tuning in. There was an awful lot of you. I don't know what I did to deserve that, but thank you very much. And if you have any questions, get me online. Please do not message me on Facebook because I've lost access. They've taken it away from me. Please get me on my website or WhatsApp or Instagram, and we can chat further then. But hopefully it was helpful, and we'll see what comes from it. Go buy all the protein yogurts down in Spar. Anyway, folks, have a good evening, and I will be in touch. All right, take care.